crustaceans and small fish, including the yellow-tailed fusiliers. The yellow-tailed fusiliers are small fish with grey body and bright yellow tails. These are like the chocolates of the Great Barrier Reef, where most of the pelagic fish enjoy feeding. Now, to avoid being eaten, what they do is they actually swim in a big group, which is called a school of fish. This just chooses the predator on which one to target.
So these are pinnacles coming up from the bottom. And here we are. Now if you're taking photos, the best thing you can do is put your camera nice and close to the glass, turn the flashes off to get the best exposure. Now if you are looking at the coral on the left hand side, it's worthwhile every now and then to look out on the right, because you might see a turtle, and at this time of year we do get some very large visitors to the Great Barrier Reef. One such visitor is the giant or great hammerhead shark. I was lucky enough to see two of these just recently, so was Ollie, one of the other fellas who you might have met already. But we do get the occasional visitor, the great hammerhead, sometimes eagle rays, which are large stingrays. They don't actually have a sting on their tail. They drift around in the ocean currents, particularly in the warmer waters, and 7 meters across. So imagine a 20-foot stingray with no sting. Pretty big. We also have the world's largest fish, which is a type of shark. What is it? It's the whale shark, not the great white. Luckily we don't have many great whites up here because the water's too warm for them. Great white is a warm-blooded shark, and when it swims up into warm waters, the metabolism of the great white speeds up so much that the great white must feed constantly, and it can't do this. So it would starve in the winter months, and usually following the whale migration. They might stalk a sick calf for months before the calf dies and they have a nice easy meal. So we've got some spaghetti coral there. Spaghetti coral is pretty easy to spot. It's a soft coral that looks like spaghetti and it waves to and fro with the wave action. You will notice lots of very small fish in the water today, and these small fish are schooling up because they're probably babies. They were probably just born over the summer. You can see lots of these on the right hand side hanging out near the cave. These are a type of anthea, which looks like confetti. Very pretty. Some of the stripy little guys down on the left hand side are called Sergeant Major. They're a type of damselfish. Now on the right there's a really cool section of reef here where you've got a large patch of spaghetti coral, and below it there's some green coral which is called cabbage coral. Now the common names of a lot of these corals are pretty easy to pick. I could tell you the scientific names, but they're a little bit boring. So we'll just stick to the common names. There you've got some spiky stuff. That spiky looking coral, very colourful, is a type of branching coral of course, and it's called, comes from the Acropora family, boring. It's actually called staghorn coral, or antler coral in some parts of the world. So that's the fastest growing coral. That antler coral or staghorn coral grows about 15 to 20 centimetres in length per year. It's a very fast growing coral. That's about 6 to 8 inches. A few waves. You can see some more of these spiky antler or staghorn corals down on the right. Very colourful, blue, green, purple. So very colourful corals. Now believe it or not, the coral is actually white in colour. But what gives coral its colour is a plant. It's a microscopic plant that lives inside the tissue of the coral. And this plant has a funny name. It's a name that you probably couldn't say after too many beverages, especially alcoholic ones. It's called zooxanthellae. So this zooxanthellae is actually what gives coral its colour, and because the zooxanthellae does this through the symbiotic relationship of zooxanthellae. So zooxanthellae living inside the coral. So that's why sometimes when you see a blue coral, it has white tips, because the zooxanthellae or the plant hasn't fully enveloped the coral host yet. Now the water's fairly clear this afternoon, which is good. You can see some of these jellyfish that are drifting past. These jellyfish are not the venomous ones that we worry about. These little jellyfish are called moon jellies, or lunar jellies maybe. But moon jellies frequent the waters in the summer months, and they're the world's most common jellyfish. Sometimes found in the millions in harbours, and they're actually edible. Anytime these jellyfish could sting you, these particular ones, is if you swam into them and gave them a kiss. They might get a short, brief sting on the lips. There's some more of that spaghetti coral on the left-hand side, just down there. Now those two yellow fish that we just passed, they're called fox-faced rabbitfish. There's a nice coral trout down on the left. Very tasty. Now those fox-faced rabbitfish are from the rabbitfish family, as you can guess from the name. They're usually very spiky. They are actually venomous, so if you accidentally pick one up, they do give you a spike, which some fishermen find out, and they often give them the name happy moments. Because when they spike you, you've got a sore finger for about 30 minutes. Not a very coral we call Nigels. One of the reasons why we call this Nigels, because in Australia, if you have no friends, you're called Nigel no friends. So this section of coral comes up near the surface and it just stands alone. It's apart from all the other patches of reef, so we call it Nigel, or Nigels. Now the second spot we're going to go to is our Turtle Cove, where we're likely to see a few turtles. And on the last two trips, we have seen them. That's because at the base of their tail, they've got sharp spines. And these sharp spines are so sharp that they're as sharp as a surgeon's scalpel. So they're obviously for self-defense. So that's why they get given the name surgeonfish. And if they have a big horn coming out of their head, they're a unicorn surgeonfish. Usually very pretty. All right, any turtles, guys? No. Any comment? Yeah. Now, one of the things that will strike you about this area is that there is a large amount of coral rubble, so dead coral. And this was caused by a very large cyclone we had a few years back. Cyclone being the southern hemisphere's hurricane. It doesn't go in an anti-clockwise direction, it actually rotates in a clockwise direction. So they differentiate it and call it a cyclone. So this cyclone destroyed a lot of the coral in this area, and it hasn't really grown back as quickly as some of the other areas, such as the Three Sisters where we first went. But living on the dead coral is a type of seaweed and also an algae which the turtles love to eat. So that's why we see quite a few turtles here. Don't give up hope. On the left hand side you'll see another coral pinnacle which comes up. This is a bit of a cleaning station, so some of the larger fish come here and there's a small fish which will clean the larger fish. Now the most popular times for a cleaning session is first thing in the morning and last thing in the afternoon. The small cleaner wrasse, or blue streaked cleaner, and should be on our right hand side. We should be passing quite a few of them. We're just coming up to them now. We should be right on top of them almost. See on the right hand side there, guys? Yeah, that's right. So lots and lots of giant clams. Some of them alive, some of them dead. In fact, the ones that died only died last summer. So fairly recently, especially because they're only, those clams are probably 50, 60 years old, so they're quite old. Now Chris is a good bloke, so he's going to do another pass over the giant clams so you guys can get some more photos of them. And we did see 2 turtles here on the last trip, so keep your eyes out for some turtles here as well. So those giant clams start off very small. They actually crawl around on a foot and they crawl up into sun.